Here I am. Here I am. Hey fabulous fiber friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Karen. I'm your host of Katie Gecko Knits podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to my returning guests and welcome to my new guests. Welcome as I take you on my knitting adventures, which can be a little crazy or not. You'll see on Instagram that I finished. I've got a couple of FOs, this here and this. But before we get started, oh my gosh, I have to tell you guys something. It's so crazy. My husband and I live in a part of Los Angeles that it's suburban, but Topanga, it's a mountain community between Malibu and Los Angeles, between Malibu and Santa Monica, and it's in the mountains. Like Malibu is coastal, even though there are many homes in the back hills of Malibu, and that too is quite rural. Topanga is definitely in the mountains, in the Santa Monica Mountains, and so that's where we live. And there are a lot of interesting and eccentric people that live in Topanga. At one time, it was thought to be like a hippie haven back in the 60s and 70s. But today, a lot of film industry and music industry people do live in the mountains there. It's a beautiful place to grow up. You're in nature. There are rattlesnakes and tarantulas and coyotes and bobcats. And they're so lovely to see. And once I saw a horny-toed lizard. That was so cool. My friend picked it up and was petting it, and the lizard just like that. It was so precious. But that's not my point. So in Topanga, with some of the more eccentric people, there are a lot of people that consider themselves survivalists. I guess at what level they're either afraid of the government or I don't know. Let's not talk about that part. So a couple of weeks ago, my husband comes home and he says, "You're not going to believe this. I'm at the gym, I'm changing, and a guy is next to me in the locker next to me, and he says to me, 'Look, I haven't changed these clothes in a week.'" My husband says, "Oh." He said, "I haven't changed my underwear in a week." My husband says, "Oh." He said, "Yeah, I'm a survivalist." He said, "I've taught myself to drink toilet water." He goes, "What do you think of that?" My husband says, "You're living the dream." I mean, is that crazy or what? So the guy was so proud of himself because if anything happens, I guess if all of our infrastructure crumbled tomorrow, this survivalist would be able to drink from the toilet and wear clothes forever. Anyway, so that's that. So should we move on to knitting? Knitting. I finished another version of the Tegna by Boylan Knitworks, Caitlin Hunter. I've made two of these already. My first two versions were with DK weight, and I tried to calculate and estimate, and they didn't turn out. One turned out too small. I gave it to the neighbor girl who it fit perfectly. The other one, I used a linen yarn. It was cotton linen. Not happy with that fiber blend, and it just didn't have the nice drape to it. But I love the pattern, so I thought I wanted to make it again, and I wanted to use larger needles. So I used this beautiful, oh my gosh, is it Nunaba? If you look on my Ravelry page, all the yarn information is there. It is a white gum yarn out of Australia. I think it's Nunaba, maybe. I'll put it below. I'll put the link below. And I held it together with a mohair. I think it was a hedgehog mohair called Piggy Bank. So it was a pink color. And I held that throughout both. You'll see. Let me stand up. You'll see I have a change of color here. These are both Nunaba yarns. This should be more square, right? And I didn't do that. I made a few decreases just to give it a more A-line, but this is still flowy there. Another modification, sorry, I'm out of range. Another modification, I want to get up close so you can see it. First of all, it's long sleeves. And I hope that's focused. I hope you can see that right here. That is the fishtail lace pattern. I wanted something that sort of simulated the shape of the lace work that Caitlin had designed, the sort of cathedral looking architecture. And so I wanted my lace work to have a similar shape to it. So the fishtail lace does sort of have that, and it's a simple lace pattern. I didn't want anything fussy. And what I love about it is right at the tip, oh, let me get very close. See here, it sort of curves down, makes like a little widow's peak. Yeah, I like that little widow's peak. Another thing I do with my garments, which it's funny, I don't enjoy working with fingering because it's too tedious, it takes forever. Yet, with my garments, I will do a slip stitch crochet almost always around all my hems. So my sleeve hems, my, the garment, the bottom of the garment hem, around necklines. Often, even if they are ribbed, I will do a slip stitch crochet just to reinforce it so the ribbing doesn't give too much. And that gets to be fussy. And I know for most of you that's probably just too much work, but I love doing it. And also what I do usually when I cast on, let's say for these sleeves, I cast on whatever number of stitches I cast on, and I always knit 3 rows. 1, 2, 3, knit, knit, knit. So sort of a garter stitch beginning. So my first row of my actual pattern will be on the wrong side row. And the reason I do this is because I like to do the slip stitch crochet around my hems. I found for me it was easier and more aesthetically pleasing to me if I did, I used to do 2 rows in the slip stitch crochet, and I didn't like it as well. I found that doing 3 rows and then doing the pattern, and then at the end when I did the finishing and I did my slip stitch crochet, it just looked nicer. That's just me. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen the pictures of this, and I'm very happy with it. It's a little warm. Oh, I'm attending at the end of the month an Indie Untangled Andrea Mowry Christy Glass event in New York. So I'm flying back to New York. Like, I know, right? That's how much I love New York and love my knitting community. So I'm attending that event. If you haven't purchased your tickets and you want to go to Indie Untangled website and check it out. I will wear this to that event. Also, another finished object. Oh, and again, everything is on Ravelry, all my notes. And if you have specific questions, please feel free, email me through Ravelry or through Instagram, and I will respond to you. My other finished object, I liked the simple lace pattern in the Arika, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, the Arika Cowl by Jane Richmond, but I loved the lace pattern in there. So I took that lace pattern and then just designed. I use that term loosely, designed. I designed a sweater. So as you can see, I will insert a little video of me wearing this sweater. The last episode, I showed you most of this. I didn't go into detail, but I showed you that what I was working on. One sleeve was done, the other was not, and I ran out of yarn and I had to wait for the yarn. So the yarn came and I was able to finish this garment. So on my little gal here, I love this. First of all, I love the vertical lines. I'm sort of short-waisted, so I like long vertical lines. I think that sort of lengthens my upper body. So I like that design. And because it's hot in Southern California, even though I love my mohair, and I do love my mohair, and I wear it even when it's crazy hot, not that hot, but even when it's a bit warmish. Like, you East Coasters would consider it warm, but to me 60 in LA, it's not cold, but it can be a little chilly sometimes. So I will wear my mohair, even though it's insane. No one else would think to do that. No one else is wearing sweaters. They're in flip-flops and shorts and tanks, and not me. I'm in my sweaters. So I finished this, and I just love it. And the interesting thing, so it's just a scoop neck, as you can see. Actually, let me take it down. And I will hold it close to the camera so you can get a... Now she's got her clothes back on. Also, the same thing. I knit, before I started the lace pattern, I knit 3 rows. You know, so like garter stitch for 3 rows. Then I began the lace work portion. Same at the bottom. And then after I sewed everything together, I came back and I did a slip stitch crochet around the edge of the hem of a slip stitch crochet around the hem of the sleeves. Same thing around the hem, the bottom of the hem. That, I think, I don't know, maybe a designer can tell me, I just feel that I will get less, over time, I'll have a little less stretching out, or, you know how sometimes sweaters and things can get misshapen after a while, and I think maybe the slip stitch crochet minimizes that. And then the neckline is just a simple slip stitch crochet. After I finished it, nothing fancy, slip stitch crochet, and that is that. But what was so cool, I started this in the beginning of January, I think, and when I was at Vogue Knitting at the end of January, and I was walking around Madison Avenue taking pictures of fashion and trying to get ideas, I will insert a picture. I don't recall if it was a Marc Jacobs, I don't remember now. There was a garment, there was a dress in the window, and I swear this lace pattern is very similar. I may make a dress out of it. Of course, I'll need a nice slip or something underneath it. But that might make a nice dress too. Groovy, groovy. Did I finish something else? I did. Oh my gosh. I may have to do a costume change for my model here. I did a garment using Trey Liz yarn held together with the mohair. You guys saw it on Instagram, but I don't know that I actually showed, I don't think I showed you guys here. Let me go change her. I decided I would change and wear it. So here is another finished object. This sweater, I've made many versions of this. On my Ravelry page, I took this lace pattern from a Stitch Dictionary. I think I took it from this one. I love this book. So I just pulled a lace pattern out of that Stitch Dictionary and just knit this up. Again, I know my sizes. I know when I use certain weights of yarn, approximately how many stitches to cast on. So that's what I did. This one, I did do the lace pattern up the sleeve. I'm not going to say too much about this sweater because I've talked about it before, and on my Instagram I showed pictures. But oh my God, so that's 3 sweaters that I finished in the last few weeks. My husband thinks I'm knitting like a crazy person. He said, my God, he said, you've knit like a sweater a week. And I said, well, not quite true. I started them, the first week or within the first 2 weeks of January, first 2 or 3 weeks of January, and then, you know how we are. We cast on, we get crazy, we want to try the yarns. And actually this one I didn't cast on until February because I bought this yarn at Vogue Knitting Live. I have to write down my Trey Liz yarn sweater so I know what I told you guys about. Oh gosh, okay. Do you know this week I couldn't work out for a few days. I have a stepper at home. It's not a Stairmaster, it's a little stepper, so I can do it in front of the television or while listening to audiobooks. And then I stretch afterwards, and this is the second time I've pulled a muscle in my groin, and then I can't work out for a few days. I did this right before Christmas, and I was hobbling, gimping around. And now I realized what I've done, so that's silly. I'm sure many of you saw the Christy Glass interview with Patty Lyons and the the Roselle T. Cal. Roselle T. Cal, let me make sure you can see that. There's the sweater. If you haven't, sign up. I've never done a Cal before, so this is my first one. The garment is adorable. It has this great lace work in the front and on the sleeves. Actually, go and look at the cal. They'll give you all the details there. I don't want to say too much right now. And there's something else. Oh my God. You know, there's so many things in my queue. I don't even know what to tell you. We keep going and going and going and putting more and more things in our queue, and that's not going to stay up there. And I'm not sure. Oh, maybe it was on Instagram. Owl Craft Designs has a pattern. It's called Build Your Own Barnyard. And I love all the sheep, and I love, there's like a picket fence. It's not quite a picket fence, but there's a little fence, and I fell in love with this. Isn't that to die for? Oh my gosh, it is so cute. So it's in my queue. Well, I already have the pattern. I got the pattern, and at some point I will do this, but and I think actually you can use a heavier yarn. I don't think it calls for fingering. I think you can actually use, I think you can use a worsted weight. Yes, a worsted weight yarn. That's much better than fingering weight. So I need, I'm doing a test knit, which I'll show you about, which I will show you in a little bit. Once I finish that, and my husband has been begging me for a sweater, so I'm going to do that. Then I want to look for yarn to make this. And I'm not sure. I don't know if I'll do a little baby garment. Maybe I'll start with a hat to get used to, because there's a lot of color changes. And I think I have to do some intarsia, and that is difficult for me. So it'll be a new step. Look at this. Is that too cute or what? Is that too cute or what? I just had to have it. I just had to have that pattern. Build Your Own Barnyard by Owl Craft Designs. Check it out. Go on Ravelry. Check out her pattern. And for all of you fabulous colorwork knitters out there, oh my God, wouldn't this be the best? Oh my God. This would be the perfect Rhinebeck sweater. Do you know I've already signed up for Rhinebeck? Well, I mean, I've already rented a hotel room for Rhinebeck. That's how excited I am. It'll be my first Rhinebeck. So when Christy Glass says, tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater, maybe it will be the Barnyard sweater, because that would be so perfect. Wouldn't it, with the llamas and the sheep, and maybe there's a goat, there's a dog in there. Anyway, that would be so precious. Corrado was on Christy Glass recently, and so I reached out to him and I asked him about one of his designs, and I said, oh, when is it going to be released? Because I would love to make that. I really liked the pattern. And so he responded that it would be ready, I guess, in a month, about a month's time it would be released. And there was and he said it was being test knit. And then he asked me if I wanted to test knit, or I offered something. And so we agreed. And so I'm test knitting for him. And I will show you, I'm using hedgehog fibers. I had some leftover yarns. So this was perfect for a test knit. I have my these two are hedgehog fibers. This one is colorway Oracle. It's mostly a paler gray with pops of pink and yellow and fuchsia and kind of the neon yellow. And this one, as you may recall, I'm a huge fan of the colorway Gossip. And I think what I love about the Gossip is the neon pink, the neon yellow, the fuchsia. It's just so bright. I really love this. And kind of a neon orange. And then for my third color, you need three colors. Or you'll need three colorways. I just chose a black. This is Madeline Tosh Light, so it's a fingering weight, but solid black. I had them all at home, and I was looking for the test knit. I thought, oh, which yarns am I going to use? I don't keep a lot of fingering just because I don't, unless I'm mixing it with mohair, I don't use a lot of fingering weight yarn. I use a lot of sport and DK, but fingering, no. So I'm going through what DK I had, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have some left over from other projects, because of course I combine these with other things. So here, I will show you. It's going to be hard to tell. You can't really judge much. But here, let me stretch this out. This will give you an idea of the colors. I think the lighting isn't great, so it gives you an idea of the colors. They're much brighter. They're very festive. I like to, they're very festive colors. So I think that'll be really great. So when Corrado, I think he's going to release it at the end of the month. If you don't follow Corrado on Instagram, do so, Corrado Lark. I will put his information below. Follow him so that you can find out when that pattern releases. My friend. When I was young, I had purple streaks in my hair, and when I was in my 20s, I may have picked her up about 20 years ago. Anyway, I love my little doll. I should name her. Thank you so much to everyone who comments on my silly dancing. I love to dance. I still dance. Yes, last time we had our soul train, and I'm a crazy person. So that might become my thing, is posting my garments on Instagram with music. I'm not having when I put the music in my videos, I get a little notice from YouTube that I'm infringing on copyright, and which I don't want to do. I don't make money here. I'm not selling anything, and so I have purchased all the music the little clips that I do play for you guys. So I might have to stop doing that because YouTube might scold me, or maybe the musicians the artists may come after me and tell me to stop using their clips. But I thought legally that you could use a music clip, as long as it was under 15 minutes and you weren't using it to sell a product. I'm not stealing music. I pay for all the music that I play in the background. And so I hope the musicians of the music that I do give you guys a little clip, I hope they are okay with that. My house has become Knitlandia. My poor husband comes home and the whole house, there's yarn everywhere. I have projects in my office, and I have my yarn stash, part of my stash, in my office. I have stash in a closet, which is in this office, which is a spare bedroom. I have yarn in our guest bedroom closet. My whole entire dining room table is covered in yarn, a whip, and projects that I want to do soon. I have a few pom-pom magazines there because there are some sweaters I really want to knit. I want to get into cables more. I love cables, and I love lace. So maybe I'll do another one of these tops and I'll use a cable and lace. I'll design my own little thing. My God, designing. Well, I guess it is sort of designing for me, right? Just simple little patterns. Happy knitting. Until next time. Bye.